Welcome to another interview with Savage Time TV. It's your host Brandon, and today we got ILL DILL THA VILL with us today. How you feeling, man?
Feel good. Feel good. Blessed, healthy.
Feeling better than me, I bet.
Yeah, the virus has not got me down. I'm good.
Oh yeah, about the coronavirus.
I'm good.
I definitely appreciate you coming out today. And despite of that, as you guys can see, I'm off camera, 6 feet. So for all you guys looking, we're staying safe. I was listening to your music today. Actually, I was smoking my morning blunt, honestly, and I was like, yo, this guy has a really distinct sound. You got a real distinct sound. You got a nice flow. You know how to change things up, change up your speed sometimes. And I thought that was really surprising, to be honest. And my first question to you was, how did you find your sound?
How did I find my sound? I think it's important for artists, and something that I did was you don't focus too much on trying to create a sound and just try to let it come organically. Mm-hmm. So I listened to a lot of artists that influenced me and try to just embody the things that I like about what they do and pay homage to that, okay, while maintaining some type of individuality and ingenuity. So, like for instance, Early Cole, like the warm up is one of my favorite projects of all time. Okay. I'm a big Kendrick fan. I'm a big fan of Blue. Common is one of my favorite rappers, Lupe Fiasco. So all those artists, I've come into play. Sylvan LaQ, Saba. A lot of these artists, I study their flows. I study what they do, what I like, what I don't like, and then try to use all those pieces to make something that still keeps me unique. But it can't just be something that you're pursuing actively. It just kind of has to come organically.
Okay. And like you said, all those people you named, I can see in common are all lyricists. And that's something that I can definitely tell when I'm listening to you, is that you're a lyricist. You definitely focus on the message that you're putting out. I can definitely realize that you're not wasting no time. You're not wasting no time in the booth. And my another question was, when was the moment you realized that music was going to be your life's passion? It was going to be something that you put all your main focus into it?
So my father and my mother were singers, and my dad ran a recording studio in Delaware for years. So, that kind of got me involved in music at an early age. But I think what really helped me was, I had a friend early on in my life that got me into rapping. And so I just did it for fun at first, and I was pretty bad. And with anything, you practice, repetition, and you figure out that you can start to be really good at it. And when I recorded, my first few songs, and I was like, this is all right. People started to gravitate towards it. I kind of ran with it from there. And it just grew into something that, luckily I've been blessed to have a lot of people that follow it and enjoy it. So that's why I continue to do it. But it obviously is something that I'm passionate about.
Word. And something that I saw was small wins. And it's something that I saw that you build upon. And I wanted to ask you about just what does that mean? Like, explain that to us with the whole small wins thing.
Yeah. So small wins is basically just instead of trying to, go viral with one video or, try to, get that big record deal or whatever you're trying to do at that highest level, focus on the basics and focus on stacking small wins. Focus on small accomplishments that you can feed off of, organic grow. So things like, for instance, if you want to do a show, curate your own event. Own everything, get all the ticket sales. Even if you only got like 50 people that come out there, you're going to make more money than if you open up for 500 people and they just like, you can just do this for free for the exposure. Those things are great, don't get me wrong. But if you're only trying to reach for those higher up things or those clout chasing things, then chances are, you might never get there. Versus, you can really build a organic following from just focusing on the basics.
I was listening, like I said, to your music, and a song that stuck out to me was it was called 9 to 5. And what I wanted to ask you about that was because you talk about being a family man heavy in that. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning just through my own personal experience that, sometimes you're taught being a family man can take away from your dream, maybe take away from, achieving success. Sometimes we're taught that, it can be a distraction or, you should, slowing down, it can slow things down. But I can see with you flipped that on its head and you talked about how it basically boosts you. And I wanted you to just talk about how being a family man has helped you in your journey as an artist.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So yeah, I mean, being a family man is very important to me, and as it relates to growing as an artist, and whether it can be, you're right, it can be a hindrance or it can be an accelerant, and really it just depends on time management and prioritization. You know, what are your priorities, and how do you have to be honest with yourself about what you can do, and what you are willing to sacrifice. So I'm not willing to sacrifice time with my kids. I'm not willing to sacrifice certain things that I have to be honest with myself about. So for instance, you know, one of my close collaborators is DJ Ice. He produces a lot of my records. He DJs my shows when he's local, but he's out in LA. I could easily, you know, catapult and leverage some of those connections if I moved out there. But I spend a lot of time away from my wife and kids, and that's not something that I want to do. So what you have to do is be honest with yourself so that you can refocus, not so that you can do less with your passion, but so that you can do more, but do it a different way. Because if you just lie to yourself and say, you know, I'm going to spend time with my kids and I'm going to go out and do this stuff, then you're always going to be butting heads and you're always going to be fighting with yourself. So just be honest and focus on a different path to get to that same point. So that's what I do. You know, I try to prioritize, time manage, so that I can have all these different, you know, pieces of my life infused together and in harmony, and not be butting heads with each other.
Okay. And throughout your journey, what has been the biggest hurdle that you say you've overcome so far?
Self-doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people that collaborate with me close and that see my creative juices flow and just the process of like releases and everything, they'll tell you the same thing. I tend to overthink things, and that's something that I've been trying to do, be better with. You know, I'll over-criticize what I want to title a project or what songs I want to include in that project, or, you know, I'll overthink a release strategy versus just, you know, getting down to basics, like I said before, and just focus on good content and just being genuine and letting that out there for the world to see. And that's really what people, although some artists won't want to admit it, that's really what people gravitate towards. You know, even mega artists, you know, like you take like Uzi, since, you know, we're here in like Delaware, Philly-based area. You take Lil Uzi Vert, even though he's this star-studded person, then and now, he's still very much his own person and very genuine.
Yes, right.
So, you know, and people gravitate towards that. You know, people gravitate towards, you know, Andre 3000 for that same reason, even to this day, even though he's not dropping music. You know, Frank Ocean, you know, a lot of these artists, people gravitate towards that. So, yeah.
And I saw that you're always repping Temple University, and I wanted to ask you about how did Temple University help you, or did it even hinder you a little bit through, you know, becoming an artist?
Temple University was a great experience for me. I was doing music a little bit before I went there. Obviously continued that while I was there. Temple as a whole, first off, shout out Temple University. They have the Vibe TV also. We did an interview there, and we did a little freestyle, so shout out to them. That's all student run. But they helped me with not necessarily the university as a machine, but the people that went to Temple University and the professors, Professor Timothy Welbeck. I don't know if he's on here right now or not, but he was a professor that I had for a couple classes, and he was very encouraging. He even freestyled in class a couple times, and he's just a super talented and hand in many different things like me. People like him will help you and encourage you to, like I talked about before, pursue multiple things at the same time and do them all with excellence. So having people like that at Temple University really helped me as an artist. Not necessarily just Temple as a whole, the machine, but the people involved.
Okay, so it was the people, the people on the ground. And that's usually what does make up a place, is usually not, I would say more so the brand, is going to be the people that make the brand up every day. And what area of your life do you feel like you've grown the most?
What area of my life have I grown the most? I think self-awareness. I try to...
That's big.
I try to be very, very self-aware, you know, like whether it's in my marriage with my kids, or at work, or with music, which is, you know, another form of work for me, obviously. You know, I try to make sure that I'm being critical with myself on, you know, am I doing this the right way? Could I be doing something different? You know, am I being honest with myself about what my shortcomings are? and how do I improve? Because you can't grow as a person if you don't, think critically of your own, actions and what you're doing. So that's one area that I've hopefully made strides in and continue to focus on.
Okay. And musically, do you have like a dream collab? If you could say, if you could work with any artist, just if you get anybody in the studio, no questions asked, who would it be?
So a lot of people don't understand this, but Common.
Okay.
I would love to collaborate with Common. And, some people I feel like don't understand that because they're like, well, why wouldn't you want to collaborate with like Kendrick or Eminem or somebody with like a fast flow or like someone that's just like this crazy lyricist? But, for me, first off, I think Common has a dope flow, dope style, dope lyrics in general. But Common just has like he's effortless with his songs. And he creates like awesome imagery. And it's just so smooth and soulful. And personally, that's something that I want to do more of with my music. I want to be more, smooth, effortless, more soulful, have more of those influences in my music. So to have a collaboration with someone like Common, I think would just be awesome. Plus, I just think he's a cool person.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely, Common's definitely, I would say, underrated.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't get all the roses he deserves, but he's always current. Some way, he's always putting his print on something that's trendy, that's happening. But
Plus, he's also another person that has his hand in multiple things. He's got the acting thing going on. He just put out a book. He's got obviously albums for days. So he's a multi-talented guy.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And just what are your goals? You would say for maybe the next 2 or 3 years, just like musically, with family, just life period. Just like what are your goals for the next 2 or 3 years?
So I was talking about how like one of my downfalls is that I overthink things. So trying to stay in the vein of not overthinking, I just want to be bigger and better than I am now in every way. So I want to be, in my personal life, I want to be a better father than I am now. I want to be able to understand my kids better and be able to, discipline them better and teach them better. With my music, I want to be able to expand as an artist and do more things and grow and be more versatile. I want to grow my fan base, obviously. One of my goals is to do, a 5 to 7 city tour, either, tail end of this year or early next year, all by myself, and pick my artists that I want to do. And that's something that I will do. But little things like that and just same thing, small wins, building steps. So where do I want to be 2-3 years from now? I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like, but I'll be bigger and better than I am now.
I could definitely see you doing that, and that's the goals that you need to have, always progressing, always moving forward. And just talking about, again, the coronavirus, it's crazy the effects that it's having.
Yeah.
But a good effect that I think it's having musically is that a lot of people are having to put out content, or being pushed to put out content to stay, just trendy or just stay up to date with their fans.
Yep.
And if I could just get, what are some of your favorite music that you've heard for 2020, just this year?
Favorite music that's come out 2020?
Yourself, of course.
Yeah. Uzi.
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was worth the wait.
He's a rock star, man. He's a rock star. I mean, every song on there is fantastic, and I'm a big fan. And which is crazy because like my music is so different than his, but I'm a huge fan. That would definitely be top of the list for 2020. I mean, we're only 1 quarter in, so definitely Uzi. And then other artists in general that I'm just listening to.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm a big Saba fan. I'm still listening to Apologies in Advance from Silva and the Q. That album was fantastic. I'm big into No Name, Smino. I'm big into Sam Henshaw, the singer. Very good. And I listen to a little bit of everything. I like punk alternative. I like all kinds of different music. So yeah, I listen to a lot of different stuff. But as far as 2020, Uzi got the crown right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Uzi. That's probably one of my favorite. I guess it's a double album that came out because he gave out so much content, and I think it was definitely worth the wait. But one thing I want for you to give just to everyone is that with me doing this and you being an artist and just our generation is big on just ownership and just entrepreneurship, following your dreams. And I know you got a lot of young fans and just a lot of fans, period. And there's a lot of people that are always, straddling the fence. And if you had a message to the youth just about following your dreams and staying passionate, what would that be?
It would be honest with yourself, be realistic, understand what you want, and make a decision and don't teeter on the fence with it. So if you think that you want to be an artist and you want to do that and that's your dream and you want to do that full time, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm doing it. A lot of people do it. Make sure you have realistic expectations and that you're not just flowing in the wind. So for me, that means I have a family to support and I want to be stable and I don't want to be on the street and have to give up music because I have nothing left in the tank. So what that means is that I have a 9-to-5 and I grind every day on that. And that's not I'm giving up on my dream. That enables me to continue to pursue my dream.
Right.
And I hold that proudly and I'll wave that flag high. And that's one thing that I think there's a stigma in hip hop in particular, where hip hop is very conscious of who's serious, who's not, who's faking it. You know, they're very culturally aware. They're also very age aware. So, you know, I just turned 27 in February. So, yeah. So, you know, if you are above the age of like 25 in hip hop, you're an old head, right? Exactly. You know what I mean? So, but there are a lot of exceptions. There's a ton of exceptions. So it's a lie to think that although hip hop is age conscious and although they're culturally conscious and all these things, that you can't, you know, pursue things your own way and have your own hustle and never be ashamed of how you're doing things as long as it's working for you. So that would be my message. Okay, and I think that's a great message. And here we go again, Savage Time TV. We got ILL DILL THA VILL with us. Check this out. Follow us on all platforms and check out his music, man. This guy's really talented. That's another episode of Savage Time TV. Wrap it up. Appreciate it, guys.